Hi, I'm Jack Guttentag, the mortgage professor. I've been helping borrowers understand their choices in the mortgage market for over 2 decades. I often receive questions from borrowers who are concerned about prepayment penalties, so I want to take a moment to clear up a few misconceptions about who they affect and how they work. A prepayment penalty is a provision of some loan contracts that state that in the event you pay off your loan entirely, you will pay a fee. Penalties are usually expressed as a percentage of your outstanding balance at the time of prepayment, or a specified number of months of interest. Usually, prepayment penalties decline or disappear with the passage of time. Seldom do they apply after the 5th year. In most cases, borrowers are allowed to prepay up to 20% of their loan balance in any one year without incurring a penalty. If a penalty applies to a home sale as well as a refinancing, it's known as a hard penalty. If it applies only to a refinancing, it's a soft penalty. Questions about prepayment penalties come from several types of borrowers, as illustrated by Morgan in Burbank, California.
Dear Mortgage Professor, my wife and I are stretching ourselves financially to buy the house we want. Our broker said we can reduce our interest rate if we accept a prepayment penalty. The difference in our payment amount would help a lot. Should we?
My answer is that it probably would help. The rate Morgan's been quoted indicates that he's a prime borrower, meaning his credit is good, and he's making a sizable down payment. Prime borrowers like Morgan can get a lower interest rate if they accept a prepayment penalty, and that's the main advantage of agreeing to one. Lenders benefit from prepayment penalties because they discourage refinancing when interest rates decline. Most prime borrowers avoid prepayment penalties, either because they're afraid of them or because they're never offered the option. Loan officers typically want to close a deal as soon as possible. Offering borrowers options to choose from can slow the application process down. The upshot is that many prime borrowers who would elect a prepayment option if they understood it never get the chance. When it comes to prepayment penalties, the oppressive behavior of some lenders may have permanently left borrowers with a bad taste in their mouth. I try to encourage borrowers to think of a prepayment penalty as a tool. Agreeing to one may not be the right move for you, but don't jump to conclusions either. Consider what you're giving up, and weigh that against what you'd be getting in exchange by agreeing to one. For many borrowers, a 2 to 3% penalty during the first 3 to 5 years, payable only on a refinancing, could be a very reasonable price to pay for a 0.25% reduction in the rate over the full life of your loan. Before you make a decision about whether or not to accept a prepayment penalty, be sure you're clear on the following. How large is the prepayment penalty? How many years must elapse before it goes away? Does it apply only to refinancing? You don't want to be subject to penalty if you sell your house. Mark from Indiana writes,
Because I have bad credit, I am agreeing to a prepayment penalty. Friends have warned me to avoid one, but my loan officer says that the lender absolutely requires it. Do I have any options?
Unfortunately, Mark, you probably don't. Because of your poor credit history, you're a subprime borrower. Lenders generally demand prepayment penalties on subprime loans because the chances that the borrower will refinance is higher. Lending to groups with rough credit results in greater losses. Lenders need more than a couple of years to make back what they risked in taking on the loan in the first place. The good news for Mark is that he still has some negotiating power. While he may not be able to talk his way out of the penalty entirely, he will probably be able to negotiate the specifics. My advice to Mark is to tell the loan officer he won't accept a penalty that lasts longer than 5 years, is higher than 3%, and should be allowed to prepay up to 20% of the balance in any year without penalty. Finally, Mark should insist on a soft penalty and avoid a hard penalty. When negotiating, be forceful but sweet, keeping in mind that the lender prefers to have you as a customer. One last thing I should mention is that prepayment penalties are prohibited on Federal Housing Administration and Veterans Affairs loans, and also on loans made by federally chartered credit unions. On all other loans, any restrictions are set by the state in which the property is located. Thanks for watching. This video was brought to you by Monger, the fastest way to pay off your loan. Visit Monger.com to discover how you can pay off your loan early. Or, for more great information, head over to MortgageProfessor.com.